Well, friends, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Dr. C.P. Srimali. I have been a professor for a very long time and retired as a director of Management Development Institute at Gurgaon. A professor never retires, so I happened to visit a D.Y. Patil University. And when I was looking at the kind of initiatives they are taking in management education, I was delighted to learn that they have created a great center of learning in management, and that is called as a center of online learning, particularly education in the field of management. This university commenced this program and which has been growing big. In this interaction with you all, I would like to share why this management education and for whom this management education, why it should be taken up. The issue is very simple. The economies are growing, economies are getting integrated, developed, undeveloped and underdeveloped world, they all are getting integrated. Goods and services are flowing globally and internationally. In such an environment, if we want any organization to function, I think the management is the hallmark. If management is good, organization will survive and grow. If management is not good, organization will face difficulties. I think this motivates people to take up the management courses, to constantly upgrade their skills, upgrade their education, and ultimately help the organization improve their performance. Management education, when we look at, we have to first understand that management education is basically for enhancing performance and building organizations to make them globally competitive. When we want to look at organization as such, if we look, the organizations primarily do only two things. Either they produce a product or they deliver a service, or they deliver product and service both. And the challenge there is that for producing a product or delivering a service, these organizations use a number of resources. And if these resources are managed well, the product and service will be delivered well, and there will be a customer who will be a delighted customer. An organization survives only if the product or service is bought by a customer at a price which is much higher compared to the cost. There is a margin available. If an organization produces any product or service and if there is no margin, over a period of time the organization will collapse because it will not have enough resources available for its growth. And therefore, as a management student, we have to constantly look at that when I have to build a competitive organization, I need to make sure that my product or my service is a sought after product, a sought after service, and that product or service is useful for the society, useful for the customer. And as a customer, I recommend this product or service to many others. Organizational survival and growth totally depends on the customers and their paying for the product or service a price which is much greater than the cost which are involved. My name is Dr. Srimali. I have been a professor of human resource management for the last 40 years. I retired as a director of Management Development Institute at Gurgaon. Recently, I visited D.Y. Patil University, and it is a great feeling to learn that the distance education program is making high strides and is growing day by day. When I look at management education in the country, I find that there is a great future for distance education with the kind of technologies available, the kind of challenges the corporate executives are having, the kind of need which is emerging for constantly upgrading and upskilling, and the people are wanting to do more and more distance education programs and management program. That's why will grow, develop, and need for this program will increase over a period of time. When we look at the distance education program, the distance education program provides an opportunity at home, opportunity to learn wherever we are, and constantly reflect, think, question, and ultimately acquire knowledge and skills which are required to be a good manager. I am very happy to interact with you all today that what business management is all about, what a good management education is all about, and what this business management education can do for our success. If we look at corporate role, I think any organization is created for producing either a product or a service. If you look at Maruti Udyog is producing a car. Not only producing a car, it's also selling a car. And a customer who is using the car develops a feeling about this company that whether it's a great car or it requires further improvement. Similarly, any product which we use, we find that the user develops a kind of a perception about that organization. And that perception is about whatever experience which he gets with that company. For any organization which is in the business of producing either product or service or both, their survival depends on only one factor. That is there a buyer of that product or service. Fortunately, unfortunately, there could be organizations which are not able to get a customer, and when they don't get a customer, the organization dies. In a competitive world, many organizations die, and therefore it is a very big challenge before any organization that can he have people who can build that organization, can they have their people who can manage those organizations and take them to greater and greater heights in a competitive world. When we look at our own economy, I think our economy is getting integrated to the world. When it gets integrated to the world, the competition is global. If competition is global, the challenges are before any organization also are global challenges of survival and growth. The survival of any organization will depend on the loyalty of the customer, ability to get new customers, ability to retain customers, and a customer who gives a price which is much greater than the costs which are involved. If organization is able to manage all its resources in a manner that their costs are lower and quality is much higher, the service levels are very high, speed of actions are very high, then naturally the organization will be able to survive and grow. As management student, I think we have to look on this aspect in greater detail. Why should any customer buy my product or my service? An organization, a customer will look at a particular product or service when he finds that yes, its prices are reasonable, yes, its quality is superior than what all choices are available to him, yes, the service levels are high, and yes, the speed of action, the responsiveness of the organization is much greater than the competition, then the customer buys the product. As we all know that in an opening up economy, in a growing economy, the competition is growing. And when competition is growing, the challenges are also growing. And as a management graduate or as a management student, we have to constantly look at how do I make sure that this organization becomes a successful organization, a high performing organization, where it is able to add to its resources, where it is able to generate more and more resources, where it is able to retain people, where it is able to improve performance higher and higher, when it is able to create a benchmark, a best practice. So recently I visited D.Y. Patil University, and particularly the Center for Distance and Online Learning. When I looked at their activities, I am really delighted to see the wonderful work.
Sorry sir, ये sentence फिर से लेते हैं. Center for Online Learning.
Center for Online.
जी. So recently I visited say.
Center for. Well, friends, recently when I visited the D.Y. Patil University and particularly the Center for Online Learning, I realized that they are doing wonderful work in the area of management education. This center has made remarkable strides in meeting the requirement of education for people who are wanting to learn online. And when we look at the trend in the education, the future is all about online learning, because the technologies are available. People are not able to spare their time to attend full-time classes, and particularly when people are located in society and at their own time and convenience when they want to get themselves educated. This education helps them, and the Center for Online Learning is really helpful to the student community in meeting their growing need and quench for education. As a management teacher, I feel that management is a subject which is ever required and will be required forever. Mainly because economies are growing, needs and demands of people are changing, and to meet all those needs and demands of people and building organizations around the future requirements of mankind, the organizations need to constantly evolve and grow, and they require talent pool which can help them grow their business, grow their requirements, and ultimately meet the requirements of the society. Why I use this word business management, because in business there are only two things happening. Any corporate, any organization produces either a product or a service, or both. And when they produce this product and service, it is not enough. The product or service need to be bought by someone, and someone who buys, he has to pay price for it, and that price has to be greater than the cost at which this product has been produced. Fortunately, unfortunately, the manpower available with the corporates or organization, if they do not perform and if they are not able to produce the product as per requirement of the customer, the company will suffer, company will die. And that's why I strongly believe that management education will remain forever, and those who are in management or those who want to pursue management education, they need to constantly upgrade and upskill themselves to meet the growing requirement and changing requirements of the society. As you all know, we had agrarian economy. Agrarian economy had one kind of a requirement. When agrarian economy got mechanized, another kind of requirement came in. Economy moved from agrarian to industrial economy.
ये सेंटेंस फिर से ले लेते सर.
खास लो, 2 सेकंड बाद कर लो, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं.
When we had agrarian economy, people were
नहीं सर, फिर से लेते हैं.
so economic requirements, economy has been undergoing a dramatic change. If you look at 40 or 50 years history, or since our independence, if you look at, I think when we got independence, we were not producing food grains enough to meet our society's requirement, and we were required to import from abroad.
Pause देते सर. Phone.
Well, need for management education has been ever evolving. As our economy grows, the requirement for our economy undergoes change. As we all know, when we became independent, at that time most of our economy was agrarian economy, and nearly 90% of the population was engaged in agriculture. The education system should have been providing people to prepare for agriculture, but unfortunately at that point of time we were not able to produce food grains which was adequate enough to meet our growing requirement of the increasing population. Policymakers at that time decided about our education policy, and they said that yes, the number of people should reduce in the agriculture and technology should increase, food grain production should increase, and therefore we should shift our population towards the industrial economy. So we had second phase when industrialization happened, and our education was supportive to the industrial economy. When industrial economy was not able to produce the world-class product, only few industries, those who could produce world-class product, could export. But many industries faced difficulty that that product was not really world-class competitive. Then the economy had another shift, that job requirement for population was much greater than the jobs available. And third shift came that our economy became a services economy, like TCS, Infosys, all those kind of IT companies came into existence. Now the requirement of talent for that kind of an economy is totally different than agrarian economy or industrial economy. And therefore, some of these institutions were creating people in their own training institutions, they were training them. And now the economy is taking another shift, and the shift is towards knowledge economy. So, as I mentioned, that as economy undergoes change, the requirement of talent pool undergoes a change. And as the economies get integrated with the world, the requirement of management graduates to manage those organizations will be increasing and increasing. And therefore, it would be a good decision to regularly upgrade your own skills and gradually build yourself so that you are able to align yourself with the growing requirements of the markets. When we look at the economy and when we look at the industry or organization, I think organizations do only two things. Either they produce a product or they produce a service, or they do both. Whatever product or service they produce, the challenge there is that this product or service need to be bought by someone. Why should anybody buy? Because somebody who buys, the person has hard-earned money. When the person is spending that money on buying or getting the service, I think person thinks 10 times. He looks at options. If other options are cheaper, if other options are better quality, if other options are that they are getting better services from other option, or if the competitor is giving them very fast service or very quickly responding, naturally they will not buy the product which is not competitive with the other companies. And therefore, our challenge is what? Our challenge is to produce a product or service in an organization which is globally competitive in terms of cost, quality, service and speed. So therefore, role of a management education is basically to prepare people for that organization and can make the organization a winning organization. Many management graduates take up management course for employment opportunity or for getting a job. I think big. You have to ask a question, why that particular organization should recruit you. Organization will recruit you only if you are able to add value there. In management education, the complete course curriculum and education at this distance learning center is focused on building capacities and competencies which will equip you to meet the growing requirements and demands. Now, if you look at the job profiles, jobs mainly fall into, if you take up a HR as a specialization, then you will have to manage people. If you take money as a specialization or finance as a specialization, you will be required to manage money. And when you look at the operations as a job, then you will be able to make sure that things happen faster and you are able to produce product or service in a systematic way so that you are able to maintain high quality standards and produce a product which is superior. If you are managing any resource which is used for producing a product or service, then I think constantly you have to ask, in that particular management, are we making this organization competitive? For example, as an HR manager, I will have to ask a question that my people, what is the productivity index of the people who are working in that organization? Are they more productive? As a manager, I will have to see that whether, and when I look at this more, it is more in relation to the competition. So you will have to see my people cost, whatever cost I am incurring on the people or the employees in the organization. I have to ask a question, my competitor is also having human resources. What is their cost? If their cost is lower and my cost is higher, naturally all that cost will be loaded on my product or service. And as a result, I will become lesser and lesser competitive. Constantly, if you look at all those four things, cost, quality, service and speed, attitude is the real thing which is behind all these four things. Do I have an attitude to be cost conscious? Do I have an attitude to be quality conscious? Do I have attitude to do things good? Do I have attitude of being positive and positivity? Do I have an attitude to improve constantly? If I don't have these kind of attitudes, then naturally I will not be able to give that kind of advantage to the organization. So, as an HR specialization which I will do when I think of doing an MBA, and in MBA I want to opt for an HR specialization or finance specialization, my whole role will depend on equipping myself with the kind of knowledge, skills and capabilities so that I make my organization winner. And in that context, if I am a money manager, I will have to look at whether my money management efficient and effective. Whether I am able to rotate that money, because the whole profit comes in turnover, that when I rotate money 10 times, the 10 times I get the margin. If I rotate money once, then only once I get the margin. So therefore, I will have to constantly look at it. Am I able to effectively and efficiently using money? Similar is the case with all other resources. So what I wanted to highlight, that when we are looking at management education, when we are looking at upgrading our skills, I think our entire focus should be that yes, my employer, yes, the organization for whom I work, do I add value? Is that value greater than the cost they are incurring on me? What kind of attitude do I have? Do I work alone? Do I work in team? Do I innovate and create? Do I differentiate? Do I know what competition is doing? Do I know what challenges are emerging? What kind of innovative methods which I can use? What innovative methods on which I can debate, discuss and work out a company strategy? So therefore, this management education helps us to make the organization winner. So let me summarize by saying that as a first part I want to mention that management education will be ever growing and ever remaining. Number two, because environment is changing and therefore in management education, I have to constantly upgrade and upskill myself. If I have taken my management education 5 years ago, I think it's time for me to re-equip myself and take up some modules of management again and again so that I am able to match myself with the growing requirement. The first aspect I wanted to say that learning is continuous, environment is changing, and in the changing environment, reskilling, upskilling and preparing myself is very, very important. The second aspect I said that when a competition grows, constantly organization have to come out with something differentiator. Differentiator in terms of cost, in terms of quality, in terms of service, in terms of speed. If I am not able to create the differentiator, then my competition will take away my market. And if I have no market, organization will not survive. So second major aspect is that I have to have a mindset of customer centricity. If I am not having customer under my focus and I do activity. And the third aspect I would like to emphasize that there are two kinds of people in the organization. Some people always do activities and they do what they are told to do. But they are doing activity and therefore they say, and they are called as workers. They work very hard and they may be called as efficient workers. But managers are those who produce results. Managers are those who differentiate. Managers are those who produce outcome. So management education is all about preparing managers, that they are not focused only on activity, because there are 100 ways of do things. Many things can be automated, but ultimately it is the ability to create differentiation. It is the ability to build even people. It is ability to develop right kind of attitudes and teams. Ultimately, make the organization winner is the role of a manager. So manager produces outcome, manager produces results, and therefore a result-centric mindset is the mindset of a manager. Now, when we talk about management education and producing an outcome, the model which I just referred is normally in our technical sense is called as the input-output model, that we are using different kinds of inputs, man, money, material, machine, technology. We are using all those kind of inputs ultimately to produce an outcome. An outcome could be in the form of product and service. So therefore, this is called as the input-output model. And management is one which very effectively and efficiently uses all the inputs and maximizes the output. And that output which can give surplus. When you look at output and as a manager, when you look at, so that means as a manager, you have three major roles. One major role you have is that you have to ask a question to yourself that what all resource I am consuming, am I very efficient and effective in that? And then efficient and effective you have to compare with the competition. At the same time, second major role is to constantly get information. Constantly look at who is your competitor and what are the new plans competitor is having. And as against those new plans, am I ready? Is my organization ready? And what can I do so that I can stay ahead of my competition? Many times as managers, when we are doing a job, we look at only activities and sometimes we forget, we even are not aware what is happening around me. The challenge is becoming even bigger because now geographies are getting integrated. I am not able to see my competitor only in my nearby environment. In fact, international products are coming into the market. So my competition is becoming global. And therefore, my ability to do benchmarking, my ability to see best practices, my ability to see how I can create a best practice and stay ahead of the competition. And areas would again be the same four, that cost competitiveness, quality competitiveness, service competitiveness, and proactiveness and speed of action. I should be very, very fast in my action. Now these are the first summary which I have given. Now let me take to the second part, that what manager does. Manager primarily does 5 things. Well friends, so far we discussed that what business is all about. Business is all about producing product and service which is required by the customer. And the manager does manage all the resources in a manner so that they are able to build this organization a competitive organization. Now I would like to focus on what really a manager does for producing that kind of an outcome. A manager basically does 5 things. The first issue is he deals with his planning. Second, he deals with organizing. Third, staffing. Fourth, controlling. Fifth, coordinating. Through these activities, ultimate objective is again the same. How can he improve organizational performance? Let us look at planning. What is planning? Definition of a planning would be thinking before action. Whatever you want to do, think before that. When you want to think before that, you have to look at environment. When you look at in the organizational context, you have to look at what the competition does, who the competitors are, what is happening in the external environment, how it is impacting our organization. So this requires some kind of an insight about the economy, about the competition, something about looking at the data and facts, and then predicting future, that what kind of things are going to happen with these kind of trends. And if you are able to see those trends, then my planning should be to prepare my organization to meet those kind of emerging challenges. So planning is nothing but thinking before action. Very many times managers give very little time on this. A good manager is one who is able to focus on planning activity, because planning can be short range planning, planning could be long range planning, planning could be strategic planning, planning could be resource planning, planning could be people planning, it could be financial planning, it could be all kinds of input planning. Planning also could be market planning, that what kind of market which is emerging and what kind of market would emerge, prepare for that market, because one has to think in all dimensions, right from input to the output. One has to think about it and then see what is going to happen in 1 week time, 1 month time, 1 year time, 1 quarter time, 3 years time, 5 year time. I think this kind of thinking is a necessary requirement. Without thinking, thoughtless action takes the organization to collapse, and therefore it is a necessary requirement that if you are in a managerial role, if you are preparing yourself to be a manager through an MBA education, I think your mindset should be constantly working on looking at the environment, understanding the environment, analyzing the environment, seeing the impact of the environment, and then finally preparing for taking decisions which can make the organization stable, make the organization grow. Besides the planning, the second part is organizing, because the entire plan cannot be executed. Entire plan cannot be executed by one individual alone. The complete plan requires different kinds of specialization. For managing an organization,
ये सेंटेंस फिर से लेते सर, एंटायर प्लान से फिर से लेते.
So, because any planning Any planning requires thinking before action. And when we are preparing plan, then we have to look at the complete environment. The second function of manager is organizing. Organizing is all about getting the different kind of talent, sourcing the talent, and making the talent work together in a particular structured way. Which means organizing is getting people to work towards a common goal. Many people define that way, but this definition is incomplete. Organizing is not just making people work for a common goal, it is something much more than that. What is that? If you look at organizing a hockey match or a football match or a cricket match, you normally look at that, yes, there are large number of people and objective is to win or lose or celebrate or to enjoy that kind of a game. You organize a complete tournament or a game. But I think this is not an organization. Yes, it has two ingredients. One ingredient is people, another ingredient is goal. Both are clear. But one thing which is missing is, are these people integrated with one another? All those who are coming to watch the match. If they are not, then naturally it is not an organization. So when you define an organization has to linking people. Organization is linking people with one another through a role relationship. Which means who will report to whom, who has what authority, who has what responsibility, who will do what. So defining all that, role in relationship, boss-subordinate relationship, colleague relationship, subordinate to subordinate relationship, subordinate to the boss relationship. So defining all those kind of relationships and linking them through one another, and then making that organization work towards a common goal, then this becomes an organization. The entire organizational issues and problems comes in this area. You may theoretically link people with one another, but then if the boss is not handling subordinate well, subordinate is demotivated, the performance will suffer. If authority is not available, the person will not be able to take the decision. If accountabilities are not established, you will find that outcome is achieved by the person with kind of constraints, and if these constraints are not resolved, the outcome would not be the optimum outcome or the best outcome. And therefore, organizing is such a complex area because it is not only the person but his knowledge, his skills, his attitudes, his linkages. Because when you use this word, that organizing is all about linking people with one another through a role relationship, this linkage is the source of the conflicts, and that is why the linkages could be done in a different ways. Historically, people talk about bureaucratic organization, that it is like a cone, that somebody is at the CEO at the top and there is a next below level, and people report to one another in a scalar chain right up to the top. Let me summarize that planning is one of the most important function any manager has to perform, which means a person should be aware about what is happening in the environment, looking at the context and making the organization winner in that context. You cannot take action without thinking, because thoughtless actions lead you to collapse of the organization. And to think before action is the entire exercise of planning. The second most important function any manager performs is organizing. As you all know, that the world is becoming very, very complex. The business also is becoming very complex. One person cannot be expert in managing money at the same time managing men. One person cannot be expert in managing technology and managing money, managing operations. So therefore, each subject is becoming highly specialized, and one has to attain the excellence in each one of the subject. Having got the excellence in an organization, now you have to get the best outcome. It is necessary that people with different kinds of competencies are pulled together to make an organization. So organization is nothing but pulling people together and making them work in a particular direction, and that is growth or development of the organization. But I would think that organization is not limited only to these two aspects. Organization is not limited to only pooling people and giving them a goal or a superordinate goal. It is something more than that. And that more is basically linking these people with one another. Now this looks a very simple word. How do you link people with one another? Because who will report to whom? Who is the boss? Who is the subordinate? Who will do what? And what are his authorities? What are his responsibilities? What are his or her accountabilities? So these can be defined. But the problem is not just in defining. Problem is becoming much more complex because we are dealing with people. We may write a role for a person. We may say that these are the capabilities and competencies are required. But actually when you get a person into the role, you will find his interests, his aptitudes, they are different. His level of motivation is different. And it is the person who has to perform. It is the person who has to perform, and if the relationship with his boss is not good, if his relation with his subordinates is not good, if colleagues are not coordinating, a situation would be that the person is not able to perform. And ultimately that performance starts impacting the organization. So as a role, I look at that organizing is an important role, but organization means creating a linkage. Very many times organizations do not delegate. Because delegation means even if you delegate, the answerability remains with you. Delegation depends only of if I have confidence in the other person. Sometimes bosses have insecurity in themselves that if I delegate everything and the other person commits a mistake, I will be answerable and accountable. And therefore I do not delegate. When people do not delegate, people do not perform. So when you look at organizational performance, organizing is a very, very crucial role. We'll talk about it later, but then issue is that one major ingredient is ability to build team, ability to harmonize the organization, ability to put the right man on the right kind of a job, ability to create a teamwork, ability to make people understand that the changing requirements, make people perform and perform at the highest level, ability to motivate people, ability to lead people. Everything is a component of when we look at the organization. And in organization, there are different ways in which we can organize. Historically, we have been talking about a pyramid structure, or we were calling it as a Max Weber has said that it could be bureaucratic organization. I won't say that bureaucratic organization is bad. Bureaucratic organizations have been created where there is somebody at the top, somebody at the bottom. Papers move from one level to another. If there is a E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, E6, E7, E8 levels, then people will not cross the levels, and from level E8 to E7, E7 to E6, the papers will move, the decisions will move, and people will take decision at an appropriate level. Now people say that this kind of a bureaucratic structure is prevalent in the government and is the most inefficient. I would say yes and no both for this. Yes, when Max Weber created this kind of a structure, he had in mind that organizations are impersonal. Because organization has a life of 100 or more years, 1000 years. Organization will not die. Person dies. Person retires. Person leaves. So when people leave and organization remains long term, you have to create a structure where even if the person leaves, the organization survives. And therefore, he has given this structure of bureaucracy. That even if a general is retired, general has died in the war, the next person will take over. And that is why the papers should move, the decision should move from lowest level to the highest level, even if it is a duplication and triplication. So the cost of decision is high. When you have to take high quality decision, you have to take very well considered decision, you require a bureaucratic structure. And that is what is prevalent in the government, it is prevalent in the military, it is prevalent in all those monopoly organizations, because their outcome is very, very important, but the process of outcome also is very important. And at the center of it is person is less important, process is more important. That kind of a structure is called as a bureaucratic structure. But when the corporates came in, industries came in, and industries require different kinds of specializations. You require a finance expert, you require an HR expert, you require a technology expert. Each is a different qualification. Each is a different experience and expertise. When you require those kind of people to come together, then you have to create a functional structure. That the person grows within the function and best of the advice is available to the organization relative to the function, and I think this is a significant improvement that organization is able to draw on the best of the talent with the growing complexities in the technology and complexities of working. This highly specialized knowledge, if the organization requires this function, this kind of functional structure can be good structure. But again, there is a problem. The problem is when these functional specialists who are there in the organization, they start thinking that they are the best and everybody else is less important than them. Then they try to, there is always an interfunctional conflict, and that interfunctional conflict starts hitting the organization. And ultimately, in a long term, the organization becomes a loser, though individually they are able to score a point. So, the third kind of structure we started creating, and which became a metric structure. In metric structure, dual reporting and triple reporting also came in. There is a functional reporting and there is a administrative reporting. But this structure again had its own advantages and disadvantages. The biggest disadvantage is that this could be around a product, around a geography. This could be around the reporting could be to multiple people, can create confusion when two different bosses are giving two conflicting kind of decisions and two conflicting kind of advice and guidance. So organization again was resulting into more and more kind of conflicts. So I referred about bureaucratic structure or hierarchical structure. I referred about a structure which could be functional structure. I also referred about a structure which could be a cross-functional a structure which is a metric structure. But in real requirement, sometimes people are required to be organized on geographical basis. For example, if there is a bank and bank has branches in different geographical locations. Now they cannot have HR, finance, operations expert to be available in every branch. So at head office they will have all the experts available, but at branch level there is a geography, there is a branch, there is a region, there is a division, there is a zone, and this kind of a grouping is done in a manner so that at a person who is at the who is having interface with the customer is able to provide decisions and resolve the issues locally. So therefore it will require a different kind of competencies. Now let me mention here that whatever way you organize people, development of people would be different in different kind of structure. If it is a functional structure, functionally you will grow and develop, and interfunctional connectivity also you will build. But if it is a geographical structure, then functional knowledge you have to provide to everybody, even if it is a shallow knowledge, but then awareness has to be there, interfunctional perception has to be there. So therefore, in government or in bureaucratic organization, people are transferred and rotated on variety of jobs, and variety of opportunities are given. The pitfall of that is that yes, whatever experience you have got, for that experience becomes less relevant when you are moved to another role where this experience is not required. So organization loses on that count. But at the same time, organization has a lot of capacity built in the system so that people have worked on a variety of jobs, and that is what happens in bureaucracy. Let me come to the latest changes. In latest changes, we are finding galactic organizations emerging. We are finding cross-functional team organizations emerging. We will find that the organizations are trying to network with one another, so network organizations are getting created. Now these are complex organization methods, but in present day, evolving economic and business environment, you cannot have a person working in bureaucratic or functional way for a very, very long time. Issue is again very simple. Why these new structures are coming up? The issue is simple because technologies have taken over some jobs. Now, when you computerize data at the lowest level, if you have a highly qualified and competent person, and if he has captured all the data, if he can analyze all the data, then do you require middle management? Do you require even top management? If the person has the capability and competence to take decisions. Because the market is becoming dynamic, because customers are becoming demanding, because customers want faster action, faster time, customers want the cost to be reduced. So therefore, you find that with technology is taking over some roles and some activities. In a organization, middle management's roles are shrinking, which means organizations are becoming flat. And if organization becomes flat and the person has to work for longer period of time in an organization, for 30 years and 25 years, if he has to work, then what kind of challenge you can give? And therefore, the traditional organization structures which were using of bureaucratic structure, functional structure, cross-functional team structure, they are becoming less suitable in the present day context. And now we are moving in the direction of creating cross-functional team structures. Earlier we were trying to fit the person to the job. That there is a job, these are the job requirements, we are fitting the person to the job. And the person should be meeting the job requirement, because if I require a chartered accountant, I will hire a chartered accountant, look at the qualification, look at his experience and hire him. But the problem is, the chartered accountant fellow, 10 years he did the same work again and again and again. He has been a great negotiator. He has been a good communicator. We have not looked at those capabilities and competencies which are not there on the piece of paper. But the fellow is not interested in doing accounting job for a long time. As soon as he gets confirmed, he says, I have the capability, I have the competence, I don't want to do it. And if the person is there, he is taking all the salary, all the pay packet and not doing it. If you fire, again the same story gets repeated, because aptitude and interest become much more important. And aptitudes and interest keeps changing for a person, and for 40 years career if you are giving, and you each time you hire and fire, you do not get the best out of him. So the challenge again is that should we really fit a person to the job, or should the job be designed around a person? So the newer approaches are coming up, that can we redesign a job, re-engineer a job, develop a job around a person. Look at his strengths, look at his capabilities, and can we create a job? And but then the question would be that who will do the job? Answer is very simple. Can we give multiple jobs to a person? If the person is capable, if the person has an aptitude to do that kind of job, he'll be happy to accept all those kind of challenges. If somebody has been a great sportsman and the organization has to organize a sports event, in addition to his finance role for which he was recruited, he is also made a member of a finance sports committee. He is a great negotiator, and when a negotiation is going to happen, if he is put as a member of a negotiating team, you will be able to leverage his potential and capabilities much more. That means you are giving one salary and getting him to do 10 jobs. But then it is giving a job variety. And with this kind of job variety and task identity, you are able to motivate this person. And he will be able to stay. Also, the whole compensation system will undergo a change with that, because the kind of performance linked pay could be created, so that whatever he performs, and performance criteria could be changed every year. Ultimate objective is what? That the person whom we hired, and as long as he stays in the organization, he is contributing. And if he doesn't contribute, then it is a cost to the organization, and ultimately organization will not remain a competitive organization. So second aspect which I said, that not only planning, the second major role any manager plays is organizing. The third major role is directing. Directing means constantly you have to look at that whatever is being done, I have to make sure that there is an alignment, what is required to be done and what is being done. As I mentioned, environment is changing. Customer expectations are changing. The world is very, very dynamic. And world is dynamic, needs are changing. And if you are constant, you will not meet the changing requirements of the customer. So directing is a very, very important role, that constantly taking feedback from the customer. Constantly looking at what is happening in the future and what is envisioned for the future. If you are able to look at, then you have to align what all you are doing. If you require more capacities to be created, if you require right kind of skills to be created, if you are required to develop the persons, you will have to do that. I give you an example. Let us look at the banking sector. The entire banking has been digitized. There are old timers who have never used computers. Customer is wanting the jobs to be carried out. For example, as a customer, I am going abroad for last 6 months, the statement I want from the bank. When I go to the bank, he says, sir, my computer is out of order, or my printer is not working. I cannot give you the printout. as a customer, I am least bothered that who has to do what. I am only dissatisfied that the bank could not deliver me what all service I expected. I have opened an account, it is my money, I am asking for my statement, the guys are not able to say. If you ask that individual, he will say, sir, I have been hired for doing the accounting activities, but I have not been trained. I have been trained only on the entry, data entry, but I have not been trained on how to repair a printer. My printer is out of order. We have asked somebody to repair it, he will come next day, so we will do it. I think in the process, everybody is having an excuse, but answer is customer is dissatisfied. Customer is dissatisfied. So therefore, directing function basically says that okay, this is what we have given a role to him, but the new role requirement is the guy will have to use printers and all the time printer should be functioning. Can I design a training program? Can he develop his skills? And by development of the skills, if he is able to repair and put the printer in order, I think the person is functional. So that means directing is a job where constantly look at what are the emerging requirements, what kind of situation in which we are in, what are the gaps, and how do we direct so that we are able to able to align our people to the requirement.
Directly, sir.
Friends, let me introduce myself. My name is Dr. C.P. Srimali. I have been in academics for over 45 years. Have retired as a professor HR and strategy at MDI Gurgaon. As also I have been a director there for over 3 years before retirement. Recently I am visiting D.Y. Patil University and I was very pleased to learn that they have a very vibrant center for online learning. This center is doing a great job. Great job in the sense that in the field of management education, with the kind of technologies available, it is helping management students in a big way for their learning. The biggest challenge is that in a regular course, students have to devote 2 years full time at an institution. But the beauty of this online learning is that a student can acquire knowledge sitting at his place, his preferred location, and a time which is convenient to him. This center is trying to be very, very proactive, using right kind of technologies and bringing good material to the knowledge of the students. Now, they suggested that I speak something about business management and enlighten what are the challenges before it. So this interaction with you, I would like to share one major factor that yes, craze for doing MBA is increasing among the youth, but because this subject will remain evergreen. Why it will remain evergreen? Because management is all about managing business and managing business for serving the customer. The needs and demands of customers are changing, environment is changing, and as a result, for any successful organization, they have to bring about a major change in their management and they have to bring about good, highly educated management professionals who can give edge to the organization and make better than the best and better than the rest. So, let me spend a little time on the issue what business is all about. If you look at any business organization, there are basically two outcomes of that business. Either they are producing a product or they are providing a service, or both. Whatever they are doing, I think their success depends on that there is somebody who is buying their product or service. If nobody buys, that organization will die, because to produce a product or service, resources are required, and to meet the cost of the resources, the price has to be higher and there has to be margin available. So the challenge for any organization to survive in a competitive market is to produce a product or service which is competitive and where customers are willing to buy this product and service at a price which is being offered by the organization. Now let me specify that why should any customer buy any product? You see, customer has its own needs and demands. At the same time, customer has hard-earned money. He doesn't want to waste that money. So a customer looks at all the options available. And in the option, he primarily focuses on 4 things. First option could be cost, because he doesn't want to waste money. So he would look at which company, which product, what price is available. And among them, he will compare with all the competition. Another thing, we look at the quality. That cost, more than the cost, he is more interested in a good quality or a better quality. In fact, the best quality. So he will compare all the costs and then identify all the cost and quality, and then identify which quality is the better quality and I should choose which one. Not only cost and quality, he will also look at associated services along with that. That what is the after sale service? If my product fails later on, what kind of support will be given by this organization? What kind of additional services the organization will provide in terms of financing the product, in terms of repair and maintenance of the product, in terms of improved delivery of the product, in terms of further improvement on that product. What all kinds of add-on company will give. So the variety of services are available and customer looks for those services. And over and above all these 3, the most important thing is the organization responsive? How fast they respond? So customer always compares any product or service in relation to cost, quality, service and speed. And in the comparison, when he finds that any company, which is producing a product or service is superior, he will buy that. So I think as a management student, we have to remember this fact that customer is the king. We have to design our product which is meeting the requirement of the customer. If I design a product as per my capability but not required with the customer, that product is a non-starter. So, and then customer expectations are undergoing change. So constantly I have to improve and upgrade the product and service. And therefore, in management, we believe that this management function will never die. As long as the mankind is there, management will continue to exist, and role of management will be constantly aligning product and services to the changing requirements of the people. Now let me look at that what kind of career opportunities this kind of education gives. Once you acquire a management education, then you are getting a job sometime in one of the resource management. With whichever company is hiring you, which is producing a product or service, for producing that product and service, they require some resources. One major resource is men, people. Not only just people head count, they look at the quality of people, their knowledge, their skill, their competence. And therefore, if you get a job in man management, you will have to make sure that man management is competitive in relation to cost of man, quality of man, service of man, attitude of man, so that they are able to serve. So man management is all about ensuring and leveraging the potential of people. Whatever capabilities which these people have acquired, how do I make sure that these capabilities are used by the organization? Organization pays the salary, and in return, organization gets what all competencies and capabilities this person is offering to the organization. Not only man management, suppose you get a job in the area of finance, then naturally again you have to look back at all the 4 factors, that what is the cost of money, what is happening to that money, how many times it is being rotated, because each time money is rotated, the margins come to the organization. So more and more money is rotated. If it is 10 times rotated, whatever is the margin of selling a product one time, 10 times it is being rotated, so 10 times margins the company gets. So you have to look at efficiency and effectiveness of money utilization, money deployment, and how much is the fixed cost, what is the variable cost, and looking at that, whether the money is deployed in right time and money is not kept idle and it is productive. If you are in the business of, in fact, you are also a custodian of that money should not be wiled away, should not be thrown away, it should not be wasted. So the courses on finance will teach how to acquire money, how to use money, and how to deploy that money. If you get a job in operations management, that means the kind of technology which is available, kind of systems which are available, I think you should be able to leverage all the technologies in a way so that you are able to get best out of the technology and customer is served better. If you are looking at the newer and newer technologies, you are aware about what all changes which are happening and what kind of edge it can give in terms of delivery of service or production of the product. So point what I am mentioning is, in industry, jobs are available in management of resources. And this kind of courses help you in acquiring and building your capabilities and competencies so that you are able to manage these resources well. Now let me come to competitiveness. You see, as the economies are opening, we all see that now economies are opening up. We are getting integrated with the world. And as a result, global products and services are available here. So it is not important that what quality I am making. It is more important is that what is the benchmark quality, what is the best quality. If the things are coming from abroad, you have recently seen in our Indian market, the steel was dumped. Because steel produced in Europe or America or Japan or China has been much cheaper than what the cost at which we have been producing steel. Now we can say that the entire steel industry got a setback. Why it got the setback? Because the money which they deployed for creating a steel plant, they got that money at about 3 to 5% rate of interest. In India, at that point of time when our steel industry was created, interest rate was about 15 to 16%. So this differential of money cost, suppose a plant requires 100 crore investment, the money cost alone, we have been at a weaker wicket, because in Japan or America, the cost of money has been much, much lower than the cost of money what we have. Similarly, we look at the power. We in India have power cuts, our electricity is quite expensive. And if you look at the nuclear power and other power which is produced by the advanced countries, their cost of power is about 2 to 3 rupees a unit. In India, if it is 8 rupees or 9 rupees a unit. All that cost is loaded to the product. So we can't complain that our industry is sinking and management is bad. Issue is, this is the reality of life, that with the borders opening up, products and services flowing globally, our challenge is that we have to meet the competition which is global, and we have to still come out with the better ideas. The biggest advantage we as a country have is that intellectually we are not inferior. If we really want, if we have the will, we also have the way. We have that capability to do better than the West and better than the rest. Only thing is, our energy need to be channelized. And if you do a management course like this, which focuses on building capabilities and competencies, I think we can make the organization winner. In this course on management, I just referred about input-output model. That there is an input of all the resources, there is an output of product and service, and output is generated by management, and management is all about optimally utilizing all those resources so that we are able to give cost, quality, service and speed advantage to the organization. Now I move on to the second part, that having developed input-output model and made a successful organization. Let me define, because you are working for a management program, who is a manager, one must understand. Because in an organization when you have people, there are many people who are happy doing activities. And maybe a peon, maybe a helper, maybe an attendant, maybe a person who has been doing assignments which are given to him. I think these people are doing activities and they are called as workmen. Manager is one who produces outcome. That means applies mind, innovates, creates, does something, applies his knowledge, and ultimately creates a differentiator. Because if you cannot do just copying of what your competition is doing. If you have to do better and better and better, you will have to apply your mind. When you have to apply your mind, a manager is one who will commit himself that in this time frame, what kind of outcome I generate. And my outcome should be superior than that. And he generates his outcome using all the people or the team members available to him. So he himself contributes, his team contributes and produces an outcome. So manager is nothing but a mindset of producing an outcome, and mindset of positivity, mindset of problem solving, mindset of finding answers, mindset of being polite, humble and listening to others, mindset of understanding. mindset of carrying out a diagnostics. So this is what is the mindset of a manager. And if you are wanting to do a management education or management course, I think you have to prepare yourself for developing your own mindset, which is around building organization and adding value to the organization. Many times youth thinks that by doing an MBA program, online or offline, it will improve my career prospects. Let me clarify. Nobody gives free money. MBA program only helps you build your competencies and capabilities. Organizations pay you for your competencies. And therefore, whenever you undertake an educational initiative in management, remember these things, that are you building your capabilities? Any educational institution can only help you, but ultimately initiatives lies with you, effort lies with you, and you have to build that competencies and capabilities. So, in summary, I would like to say, manager is one who finds answers, management is one who produces outcomes, manager is one who doesn't give excuses and alibis, manager is one who makes the organization winner. Now coming back to the second aspect, that ultimately what they do, what managers do. I think primarily they do 5 major things in their role. One major thing what they do is planning. Now planning is all about thinking before action. Planning is all about understanding the environment. Every business has challenges coming from competition. So any planning requires competitor analysis. Any planning requires industry analysis. Any planning requires environment analysis. Any analysis requires what kind of difficulties our organization is facing and how do we overcome them. So therefore, planning is nothing but simply thinking before action. Because all of us act in the organization, do many things in the organization. But as managers, our role is primarily to get things done. And for getting things done, I should be very clear what I want people to do. If I don't know, if I am confused, if I am not planned enough, what kind of outcome I will get from the others. And therefore, planning is the most important function. Planning could be done for the day, planning could be done for the week, planning could be done for the month, planning could be done for the year. But then planning is the most important exercise. Planning requires discussions, debate, analysis of data, thinking of the data, lot of reflection, past performance, and then identifying newer and newer ways. And then seeing the implications, what implication my decisions will have. And then consciously taking decision. So, in summary, planning is one of the most crucial factors. In fact, those organizations who are very great at planning, the implementation happens automatic and very quickly. But if the planning is not done, then thoughtful any action which is not thought through and can have negative implications in the organization, then higher the level which you enjoy the organization, and if you are not planned well, organization can collapse. And therefore, give very high priority and attention to the planning function. Another major thing which the organization does is that I can't do alone everything. Because in an organization, I am only one fellow. But organization is group of people. And when you have a large number of people in the organization, I think many people talk that organization is nothing but group of people working for attaining a common goal. I would say yes, this definition is correct partially. One important component is missing. Yes, group of people are required. Yes, goal or superordinate goal is required. But one most important thing which is required is how I am organizing these people. What is that organizing? Organizing is nothing but linking people. Organizing is linking people with one another through a role relationship. What role is expected? What kind of relationship exists? Who has authority? Who has responsibility? Who has accountability? Authority, responsibility, accountability put together. And then what is my role and how do I discharge that role? What kind of empowerment do I have? What kind of relationship do I have with my senior? I think this is the crux of the whole thing. So as I mentioned, that planning is one of the most important function which any manager discharges. Now let me come to the second major role which a manager does, and that role that performs, and that role is organizing. Now theoretically, when you look at organizing, then it is linking people with one another through a role relationship to attain a common goal. Now many people believe that when it's a group of people and there is a common goal, it is an organization. It is only partially correct. The most crucial part in this entire definition is the linkage which is created between people. Now linkage also may look very simple, but I think this is the complexity which influences the productivity and performance. To give you an example, if the boss and subordinate do not have good relationship, whatever role you may give, whatever capability the person may have, if the fellow doesn't have a mood, fellow doesn't like the boss, his performance will be low, and ultimately his performance will impact the entire organization. So therefore, how do you create the linkage between boss and subordinate? How do you create linkage between role and that kind of different kinds of relationships? This is a very, very crucial factor. And let me mention, there is a beautiful work done by Henry Mintzberg. He wrote a very interesting book on structuring, organization structuring. You would have seen that when you interact with the government departments, it is a bureaucratic structure. And bureaucratic structure was given by Max Weber when he wanted to create perpetual organizations. An organization which will never die. His belief was that there could be organizations which have a lifespan of about 100 years, 200 years, 500 years. So when an organization have a very long life and people die, people retire, people leave. If that is what happens, then how do we create a successful organization? And particularly if you have to manage government, if you manage a country should exist for a very long time. So therefore, he said that to organize people, there should be a structure, and that structure should be a bureaucratic structure. Because the beauty of the bureaucratic structure is that there is a scalar chain and there is unity of command. There is a boss and there is a subordinate, very clearly defined. And paper should move from one level to another level to another. If there are 10 levels in the organization, from lowest level to the highest level, the paper will move, decisions will move from one lower level to the higher level. So everybody knows what has been the decision taken at the lower levels. So finally, the person who approves the decision, he would have considered all the kinds of views expressed by people at all the lower levels. Now this is a beautiful structure because automatically it creates succession. It's a beautiful structure that when you are making a policy, it is well thought out policy. It is not one individual's fluke of mind that somebody talks something and becomes a policy. Enough consideration has been given, enough thought has been given, and people have applied their mind, and then a policy has been created. So in running the government, bureaucratic structure is the most appropriate structure. In bureaucratic structure, the advantage is that even somebody dies, leaves. Give an example, if there is a war, it is quite natural that brigadiers, generals and lieutenant generals will die. If they die, then it should not be defeat for the armed forces. Automatically, the succession should be available. This succession can happen only if you have a bureaucratic structure where people are trained day in, day out, and everybody is prepared for the next higher level. So that's why officiating role people are given, and when the actual role comes in, they succeed in that role. So this structure has a beauty, it has a really a remarkable structure. But when we look at the same structure in a commercial organization, it is a big disaster. Why it is a disaster? Because when you look at a customer fellow has a choice, and customer wants that things should happen fast. In a bureaucracy, things get delayed. Customer fellow wants cost to be cut. In bureaucracy, the cost of decision is extremely high. And with the time when computers are available, technologies are available, if you have the right man at the lowest level with right kind of capabilities and competencies, like you guys as an MBA, you with all management education, with the best of your competence and capability, when you join at a junior level organization and data is available through your computer and ERP system is available in the organization, do you really require middle management? All those people who are in the middle management at E3, E4, E5, E6, E7 level, are they really required? Because through computers, through analyzing all the data, what all these middlemen has been doing, now that role is taken up by the computer, you get the analytic report and you yourself have the competence, you can take the data and take the decision. And if that happens, then you raise a fundamental question do I really need a middle management? How fat should be the structure? So nowadays there's a talk that organizations are becoming flat. It is easy to talk again about the flat organization. Why easy? Because yes, you can reduce the people. But the issue is, suppose there's one fellow whose whole organization is dependent and he leaves or she leaves. Organization can collapse. So how do I create succession? How do I motivate the fellow for 30, 40 years to live in the organization? These are the challenges which you get. So the subject of organizing, the role of organizing is very, very complex but very interesting role. And with the changing times, we really have to work for effective design of organization. In fact, a good MBA student, a good management graduate should be able to design good structure. Let me give you examples. Because we had, with the kind of complexities increasing, we created a functional structure. That yes, there are a lot of advances in accounts and finance, and an accounts fellow cannot be doing the management, but he can be best in financial management. An HR guy could be best in HR. A technology guy could be best in technology. Issue is, one person can't have best in all, and in an organization require best of all. If that is the scenario, then we believe that yes, the best need to be pooled. But the problem, so therefore we in industry we have functional structures, that there is a stream of marketing, finance, operation, IT. These are the streams in which the promotions will happen, career growth will happen, and finally people will reach the top level. Again, it is easy to say, but when you go into the practice, you realize that a person gets a tunnel vision. When he is in a particular stream, he starts thinking that the thing starts at him and ends at him, and he is the best, everything else is not as better. In fact, a finance guy thinks I am custodian of the money, so I will release money after due diligence. Many times the decisions are delayed, and where the money is required, it is not spent, and operations fellows suffer because of that. Sometimes operations fellows ask for money much more than what they require. So therefore, each functional fellow tries to think that his function is the most crucial for the organization and other function is not as important. And as a result, all those functional organizations have a common problem of interdepartmental, interfunctional conflicts. And when there are conflicts, naturally, if organization is not able to manage and handle those conflicts, you face a situation where organization becomes a casualty. This is really impairs and destroys the performance of the organization because people are fighting among themselves. Then third kind of structure did come up, that okay, let us create a matrix structure where functional and geographical organization we merge. Functional and product organization we merge, and we create double and triple reporting around function, about the administrative control and functional control. This again provided some advantage. Yes, cost advantage was there. Lot many costs have been cut because of that. For example, let me give a practical example. Suppose Rajdut motorcycle was one division with the escorts. Now, motorcycle is a product by itself. To produce that product, they have a finance department, operations department, marketing department. They have technology department, all the departments they have, and they are producing a product and they are selling that product. The company decides that okay, heavy earth moving machinery also we will produce. Now, do they have to have another finance department? This will be an extra cost. Do they have to have another HR department? This will be an extra cost. So they created a department that okay, head office you will have all the functional expertise, and there will be product structure we will create, that yes, marketing of motorcycle is different, marketing of heavy earth moving machinery is different. So around the functions, around the product, around the geographies, they try to marry and merge, and that they call it as a structure which they are making it as a newer kind of a structure. The next situation, yeah.
ये sentence फिर से लेते सर.
So then they realize that they tried. So ultimately, what happens that functional head input also is available, geographical input also is available, and technical input about that product also is available. We are able to marry the three. At the same time, we are able to optimize the cost. So therefore, this structure, they said that yes, we have got the best of functional structure and we have got the best of the hierarchical structure. Sometimes organizations also move to geographical structure, like banking industry. There's a branch in every city. Now they cannot afford to have HR guy in every city finance guy in every city, operations guy and technology guy in every city. But then they have to develop a holistic picture, and the bank should be able to perform well. So they create generalists of all and specialists of a few. Point what I am highlighting here, the kind of structure you create, kind of role relationship you create, that creates another challenge of building right kind of competency among the people. So it is not a question of just having a head count or a person. Giving them the right kind of competencies so that the person is able to perform well. So geographical structure is another structure. But let me now mention that all these kind of structures which we have been talking about in the books and are relevant in certain situations. But in the newer environment and newer changing environment, newer kind of structures are also evolving, and we need to understand them. We need to use them. For example, in current setting, people are questioning, do we have to have full-time employment? Can we have part-time employment? Can we have hourly employment? Can we get the best talent anywhere available? And therefore, three structures which are prominently emerging in the new environment is, one is network structure. On my network, I can have a Harvard professor. He may come for a few days and deliver his job and go, and I pay only for the time when he works. I can't give the full-time employment. I manage a company in the which I may have a board member, comes for a few days in an entire year and gets paid only for the support which he gives in that limited period of time. So we are creating a network structure. We are creating cross-functional team structure where same person is able to deliver multiple roles around the kind of competency which he or she has built over a period of time. We can create a galactic structure like a galaxy in which different functions and sub-functions are there. Through a memorandum we are able to connect them. Let me give you an example. That galactic structure could be that in an institution I have gardens to be maintained. Now one option could be that I can have a full-time Mali and who maintains the garden. But in reality I realize that 60% of the time the water is not available or equipment is not available or something is not available and person is idle. When water comes, his duty is over. So person works on overtime. Organization pays salary and overtime. Person is idle. Person is frustrated. The company also is not getting the benefit of his talent. But then this is one kind of structure that I give full-time employment to a person and I pay him salary. This has been a traditional approach. When the competition increasing and cost optimization happened, people started looking at, can I give outsourcing of this garden maintenance function? Can I define what all jobs are to be carried out? Can I ask the contractor that these are the jobs to be carried out? I don't mind how many hours the people are spending here. I want this kind of an outcome. The contractor fellow will also take 5 or 6 contracts in the same city and allocate person for 2 hours at one institution, 2 hours another institution, 1 hour third institution and pay him well. Person is happy that he is being paid well, though he is working at 4 or 5 different outfits or an organization. But then the person is not idle. He is busy. We are able to leverage the total potential of that guy. We are able to pay him for the time which is devoting to the organization, and as a result, it is win-win for both. So this kind of things are possible when we are hiring people through a memorandum of understanding, and that's why it's called the galactic organization, that you are connected like a galaxy where the stars are connected through a gravitational force. So that is kind of a structure which is emerging in a present scenario. You also seen in the hospitals that you have a doctor and you have 10 surgeries booked for the month. Should you engage the doctor full time for all the 30 days? Because all the surgery you can do in just 3 days or 4 days. Because then you are not using the doctor, and doctor is also not able to use his capabilities because he has been full time engaged somewhere. So you already see a practice that a doctor will work at 6 different hospitals and give 3 hours at one hospital on 3 days, say 4 days, another hospital 2 hours. So he may decide about that, and hospital will publicize that if you want eye surgery to be done, if you want your knee surgery to be done, we have an expert available and this person is available on these days, these timings. Issue is, you are now not hiring a person, you are hiring a talent. And the talent you are hiring, and you are paying for that talent for that limited period of time. No commitment on either side, Basic commitment is that the hours, the commitment which you are making, you will honor your commitment and you will be paid for your commitment, you will paid for your service. So this is called as creating a network. So futuristically, when we are getting into the knowledge economy, we are getting into services economy, and in these economies, I think bureaucratic structure is non-starter. In this structure, even functional structure is non-starter. In these kind of economies, the most important thing is, can we create a network of people? Can we create a network of talent? Can we create a network organization? Can we create a galactic organization? Can we create a cross-functional team organization? So organizing is becoming a very, very fascinating and interesting subject. I would recommend that you refer to the work done by Henry Mintzberg. He wrote a beautiful book on organization structuring. Please read that. And it gives, because it also gives some more details about organization, that it is not just creating a network of people, also creating empowerment. How do I delegate? How much do I delegate? Why people do not delegate? Well, it's very easy to say that one should delegate. If you are a manager, you should delegate powers to the people. But the associated issue is, if I delegate, do I abdicate my responsibility? Because something which I delegated to somebody else, he has not performed, but my responsibility remains. So normally people delegate only if there is a trust. Normally people delegate if they feel that other guy will carry out in letter and spirit. Reality is that no two people have equal competencies. The person to whom you delegate may commit some mistakes. Are you willing to take the risk of allowing him to take the mistake? So people are people, and it is many bosses who even are educated as management graduates, but then they do not take this kind of a risk. So therefore, another thing which you have to look at is that in this role relationship which we are talking about, structure which we are talking about, most important thing is how delicate are the relationships, how roles are being redesigned and restructured, how we are able to optimize the costs, how we are able to deliver the best of the service to the customer. I think these are the issues which need to be answered. And beauty in management is that no one answer is a correct answer. In fact, in a particular situation, what makes you winner is the right answer. In a correct situation, because as a manager, you cannot copy somebody else. You have to innovate, you have to differentiate, you have to do better. So, second issue which any manager deals with is organization structuring, which I referred about. The third issue and third, fourth and fifth issue are still simpler, because third issue is directing. What is directing? That all resources need to be channeled in a particular direction so that the outcome is very focused and as planned and as desired. Now directing requires an analysis of the present, looking at the future, looking at the plan, identifying the deviation and correcting the deviation. So any manager must get an MIS. Every day, what is the production data, what is the sales data, what is the customer satisfaction data? He will look at all the data, and based on the data, he has to analyze the data. And after analysis, he has to look back from the same premise. Is my customer happy? Is my cost under control? Is there any better way to control my cost? Can I do still better? These questions he asks, and then rechannelize, redirect people. Sometimes this may involve reskilling people. Sometimes it may involve changing system. It may involve even replanning things, because environment is so dynamic that you have to replan. It may involve change in policies. But then directing is a function where you have to put things on a course so that we are able to optimally produce an outcome. That is the beauty, and that is an important function any manager has. In fact, good manager is one who has access to all information, all right information, so that a manager can take right decisions at right time. The third, after this directing, the fourth major issue is also a very important issue which he deals with, and that is control. Things should not slip. So he has to fix timelines, because directing can be a continuous effort, but then he has to fix a timeline that, okay, in 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, what kind of outcome? And I have to exercise my control, because I am having all my resources, men, money, material, technology, all resources which are available to me. I have to exercise control in a manner that in spite of directing in the right direction, am I producing the kind of outcome which my organization has planned for and is looking at? So exercising control, exercising restraint, giving a speed, all those kind of things happen if I do continuous analysis of my data. And finally, the most important role of manager is to coordinate. He has to coordinate with people. Senior level, junior level, top level. All data is coming because many people will have their own departmental data, but business is never one function. Business is integrated, and therefore in coordination you have to see things, whether things are happening in real time, because it is quite possible that production guys are producing so much that in the market there is no demand for the car because there is a strike and nobody is buying the car. You may create dead inventory because production people are producing as per their target, but market, there has been a strike and sales have reduced. Can I control? So you have to look at controls, and not only controls, coordinate with everybody else. Can you ask them that, okay, can we reduce from 3 shift to 2 shift, 2 shift to 1 shift? These are the challenges. Marketing people are facing challenges. So please, production people, go a bit slow, because more you are producing, it is creating financial stress on the company, because all the raw material which is being bought, we cannot sell, the money will not come, our money will be choked. So therefore we have to coordinate with the finance, we have to coordinate with operations. So business is never individual function. Though you may get a job in finance, operations or IT, but as a good manager, you have to look at integrated role of manager, that you are responsible for all the kinds of roles of operations, finance, marketing, you have to coordinate with them. So primarily as a manager. And finally, I would like to say the biggest resource which I did not talk about, which a manager manages, is time. I think best manager is one who knows how to manage his time. Because in this competitive world, as I mentioned, speed is very important. So you have to see who is doing things in what time frame and can I cut the time. I had a chance to interact with the promoters of Hero Honda, earlier Hero Honda and now Hero Company, the promoters. So I was asking them that you guys bought the technologies from the Hondas. How are you going to compete with them when they have put restrictions on you that you cannot sell your bike in the international market, and they are the people who are taking the royalty for the technology which they have given. How you are able to compete with them when they have already entered the Indian market? They said only one thing, that yes, this question we asked about 40 years ago when we set up our factory. That yes, we are unequals because they are the people who developed that technology of 4-stroke engine. That technology was not available in India. We wanted to bring that technology because we had the market. So we negotiated with them and we signed an agreement. Now economy is opened up and they also started operating in our market. We also realized that they sold the technology and we upgraded and improved that technology. But my agreement with them said that whatever improvement I will make in the technology, it will require approval from them. And that means the copyright of the technology which I develop will belong to them. Now this was an unequal agreement, but almost all international agreements happen that way. So he said, yes, I signed all that agreement knowing fully well that we are at disadvantage. But we have great advantage that our people are good. We believe in our people. Okay, sir, this is just a statement. Could you qualify? He said, yes, our innovation standard. Our innovations are very, very high. Our customer service is given by people. Our people give service. And our service is delivered so well that my customers are so happy that I am able to sell in the entire world in geography is my motorcycles and bicycles, because that is where we started our business from, bicycle industry. And we started serving the customer. So we constantly look at the customer and customer needs and customer demands and designed our product around that. So even when we had unequal relationships, we looked at our cost. We can mention the kind of volume which we produce today. In that kind of a volume, nobody in the world can produce at the cost at which we produce. So we have cost leadership. He said that the percentage cost of suppose it is 100 rupees the cost of a bike, by cost of HR is the lowest in the world. My volume is the highest in the world. So even Hondas cannot compete with me because my volume is much, much larger in spite of them. And thirdly, the service which we deliver is world-class service. Because the people whom we take care, because in our company, we take them as our family members. We take care of them. And as a result, we never had any strike in the last 2-3 decades. And as a result, constantly people are innovating, improving, and we are producing a world-class product. So in India, Indians can defeat the world if people are committed and management is good. And management is good means we are sensitive to customer needs and customer requirements. We are sensitive to, we are committed to our organization. We are committed to the vision of the organization. We are able to be cost conscious. Sorry. We are committed to the organization. We are committed to be cost conscious, quality conscious, no compromise on quality. We are able to speak up. We know how to communicate with each other. We are able to work in a team. We are able to do things which are required to be done in a professional organization. So I think as a manager, let me summarize now by saying that initial part I said that what a business is. Business is nothing but producing a product or service which can meet the requirements of the customer. Second part I said who a manager is. Manager is one who finds answer to the problem rather than creates problem. Manager is one who doesn't give excuses and alibi. He produces outcome. And third part I said what he does. He does planning. He does organizing. He does staffing. He does controlling. Organizing and staffing is a combined one. That is, organizing is creating a structure and staffing is putting the right man on that right structure. These things person does that. Which person need to be groomed what way and how do I do staffing? So he does that. He does the controlling. He does the coordinating. Now these are the functions which a manager does. And the central part in the entire function, entire exercise is having a mindset. Am I adding value? Because you management students normally look at career options, promotions, career options, good salary, good package. Ask a question again, why should anybody give you? If you are able to add value there, you will automatically get a good remuneration, good promotion, good reward, good recognition if you are able to add value to the organization. An organization requires value only in 4 areas. The most important area is at your own attitude. That are you committed to the organization? Are you able to add value to the organization? Are you able to give competitive edge to the organization? Are you upgrading and improving yourself constantly? Are you able to work for continuous improvement in an organization? Are you educating yourself? What is happening latest in the world? What is happening to the competition? I think these are the challenges, and if you are able to match, I think you are preparing for a good course. But I would also mention this, that I must congratulate you that you are bidding for an online course, because this is the demand of the day. When your education has to be a lifelong education. Lifelong you cannot go to a college physically. But lifelong you do require your upgradation and knowledge improvement. Many things you can read in the videos, many things you can read in the books. But I think you require a university, you require an institution who can help you in your grooming process. They can evaluate and give you feedback. You require a university who can give you feedback. You require teachers who can guide, coach, mentor and help. I think this D.Y. Patil University and this center in this university, which is promoting online education, I think is very well placed. And I met with some of the people in that center, and I find that this is a world-class institution which is coming up. And I recommend and commend you that you have taken a right decision to upgrade your knowledge and skills in the area of management. Decided to take up this course, decided to learn, go a little deeper into this subject. And when you want to read a little more, I also recommend you that on principles and practice of management, there is a beautiful book written by Kuntz and O'Donnell, which basically has 5 or 6 major chapters: planning, organizing, directing, staffing, controlling. So these functions, each function has a chapter. So go through that book and it will help you. Go through more videos and it will help you, and have questions in your mind. Check question, because ultimately our role as a management student is to add value wherever we are. Thank you very much.